Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we are going to be playing with a Smog Reanimator deck list. Um, this is a deck list that I was commissioned to play and my friend Bryant Cook was also commissioned to play. So I'm going to start by showing off the original deck list, and since I have a bit more of a backlog than Bryant does, Bryant played the league first, so I actually get his feedback before I play my league, which is super cool. So here's the original deck list, and Bryant played this 75 in his video. That's the Epic Storm if you want to check out his video. I won't spoil the results, but I will talk about the changes he suggested. So the general idea is that we're trying to be a combo deck that attacks from two different angles. We have the Witherbloom Apprentice and Chain of Smog combo. So how this works is that Witherbloom Apprentice drains you, or drains your opponent rather, for 1 every time you cast or copy a spell. And so you can Chain of Smog, target yourself, and infinitely copy it, and then that drains your opponent for lethal. So that's a 2-card combo. We also can just do the simple, good old Entomb for a Griselbrand, and then reanimate it, or Shallow Grave it if we just want to have it stick around a turn and attack for 7, let us draw 7 more cards, that whole thing. And kind of supporting this, we have most of the rest of the traditional Reanimator shell. And the thing that this deck list was really trying to do was have a sideboard juke of 4 show and tell. And then you bring in a, a couple more fatties, a Boseiju to make them uncounterable, and then you're good to go. So I was sitting down, getting ready to borrow the cards for this, and I went, didn't Bryant play this? And so I pulled up his YouTube, and I kind of listened to his conclusion, and his conclusion said a lot of the things that I thought as well. So when I was looking at this deck list, I went, it's probably not worth making the mana base this much worse in order to go and just play Brainstorm in the main deck and Show and Tell in the sideboard. And lo and behold, in Bryant's conclusion, he said the exact same thing. So I am going to play the 75 that Bryant actually recommended. So let's kind of talk about this. Bryant also wanted to cut the blue. He kind of thought it was unnecessary. So the reason why Reanimator decks often use a Show and Tell or Stronghold's Gambit sideboard plan is because they're kind of all in on the graveyard in the first place. Well, this deck isn't all in on the graveyard in the first place, so it doesn't need that juke. If your opponent leylines you and you don't happen to have an answer to it, you still have Witherbloom Apprentice plus Chain of Smog as an infinite combo. You still have plenty of outs to that situation. So I think you can build the Witherbloom Apprentice Chain of Smog deck in a way that is good and uses blue, but that's probably going to be a more controlling deck, a more 8+ cantrip deck, Baleful Strix, play a mid-rangey game, maybe have Uros in there, that sort of thing. And the way that I conceptualize this is that, we're just supposed to abuse the London Mulligan, right? We want to mulligan pretty aggressively until we can either, reanimate or Chain of Smog combo. And if we can, poop a Griselbrand into play, it doesn't matter if we mulligan to 5, right? It's probably going to win the game or do something pretty close to that. So since we're not going to try this sideboard juke anymore, I actually have room for, different effects in this sideboard. So we are going to play Leylines because there's plenty of Reanimator running around in leagues, and shutting that stuff down is very important because the strategy is strong. We're going to play Force of Vigor and Reverent Silence, and these will help us answer the lock pieces, the Leylines, the Chalice of the Voids, the Rest in Peace, and things of that nature. We are going to play Carpet of Flowers for our Delver style matchups so that we can produce some extra mana. And then we are going to have some Xantid Swarms for some of the blue decks. Note, I don't think Xantid Swarm is nearly as good as it used to be. I think the presence of cards like Endurance and Icefang Coatl and such in these decks mean that Xantid Swarm just doesn't get in there for free as often as it used to. As a persistent thing, but we'll kind of see how it goes. All right, I think I'm ready to go ahead and just jump into the league here. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, please consider following. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before the video begins. Those likes are the biggest predictor of my video success, and it helps my metrics a lot. Wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Okay, let's battle. Okay, so I think if I was on the draw, I would keep this hand, because I'd just, like, draw a card, Griselbrand, discard it, reanimate it. I think being on the play versus something, like, that is, like, going to be Death and Taxes 50% of the time, I just go ahead and mulligan this hand. This hand doesn't do anything either. Like, we're trying to abuse the London Mulligan here. Yikes. Okay. At what point do I just keep an awkward hand? Alright. So with this hand, I will essentially have 8 hits to reanimate a Griselbrand. Otherwise, this does nothing. I'm gonna go deeper. I'll keep an awkward 4. Hello, is this... This is gonna be a keep. So I probably keep Land, Spirit Guide, Witherbloom, Chain. I'll discard Reanimate, Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal. And we're gonna put my opponent to the test. So if they cannot answer this Witherbloom Apprentice and I top deck a land, I win this game. If this is Death and Taxes, my opponent has potentially Solitudes and Swords to Plowshares to deal with this. If they're like a Bant deck, they're probably going to have few other... Oh, okay. There's nothing that's going to ambush me in combat. I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 damage here. Alright, opponent drops to 18. And let's see if my opponent is dead. Chain of Smog. Target me. Are you dead? Yes, they're fucking dead. They're dead. They're dead. Oh no, they're not dead. They're bad at magic. Oh, nope, they're dead. JK. This is gonna take some clicking. Oh, nope, they're just gonna concede. Fuck yeah, we mulligan to 4, and my broken deck still wins the game. Ha ha ha. Fuck yeah. Okay, so I am probably going to sideboard in no cards. Like, I showed my opponent just the Witherbloom Apprentice side of the deck. And so my opponent is potentially going to, like, bring in things that deal with that, but they might not know that I'm actually a Reanimator deck. So I think I am just going to kind of submit as is for game 2. Like, without seeing more cards, I cannot confirm whether or not my opponent actually is Death and Taxes. I think it's pretty likely. Like, they showed me a Yorion and they showed me a basic Plains. I believe not a snow-covered Plains as well. So, like, I think they're Death and Taxes, but I don't think I'm actually going to board. Well, I could hedge. So if my opponent is Death and Taxes, like, Veil of Summer super sucks, and I could just board in, like, 2 Reverent Silence or 2 Force of Vigors. Yeah, I think I'll make that change. Because, like, if I'm wrong and I am playing against a blue deck, like, Veil of Summer is kind of whatever, right? Like, I would like to have that card, but it's not like it's a make or break thing. I can cast a Grief on turn 1. I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan this one. Like, this hand has some cute lines. Like, where I evoke a Grief, Shallow Grieve it back, take 2 cards out of their hands. I don't think I want to go down that route. I think I just have more broken things. This hand doesn't really do anything. Let's mulligan again. This is a 5-card hand. I essentially throw back 2 Griselbrands. I draw a Chain of Smog. Exactly, this can kill on turn 2. I don't really like this hand. Let's go to 4. Okay. I'm going to keep this. This is Sketch. So Grief and Unmask go back, as does Witherbloom Apprentice. This is not really where I want to be. Where I'm at. Okay, so Death and Taxes confirmed. Okay, Entomb is a good draw. I'm going to play out Lotus Petal here for Thalia-based reasons. I don't think I'm just going to, like, jam Witherbloom Apprentice, because I might want to use this mana for, like, Entomb, Reanimate bullshit. Let's always yield to this. Okay. Okay, that's all opponents got. That's fine. Am I okay running out Witherbloom Apprentice? I think so. I think I'm okay with that. Oh, that's very awkward. I can't get basic swamp, which is the land that I want to get here. Alright. Begrudgingly get the Bayou. Alright, so the reason why I'm running this out is that next turn I can Elvish Spirit Guide, Chain of Smog, and try to kill my opponent. Yeah, you can have your Mother of Runes. It's possible I should try to wait for more mana, but, like, if I wait another turn, Aether Vial can be on 3, and then a Skyclave Apparition off a Vial is something that can disrupt me. I'm not super down for that. Okay. There's my land. I'll get another Bayou. So I actually probably want to do something kind of cute here, right? I probably want to hold priority, cast Chain of Smog, targeting me, and Entomb in response. This way, I don't actually discard any cards, and I play around like an Aethersworn Canonist, making it so that I can't, like, cast my cards with the timing that I want. Okay. Opponent has Solitude. That's fine. Like, opponent wasn't proactively playing any cards, so, like, it makes sense that they have something in hand that disrupts this. I didn't expect this to work. I'll return to 20, and I'll go ahead and put a Griselbrand in graveyard. There we go. Now, I will copy this spell, and this time I'll target my opponent. That's a pretty big misstep on their end. They could have vialed in their Stoneforge Mystic and had another body in play. That's a punt. So they don't have to search the equipment here. If they still have a bad piece of equipment in their deck, they can, like search out, say, a Jitte and make it so that they'll never draw that card. Otherwise, they can just fail to find and just, like, have one more power in play. Okay. Alright, that is a hell of a top deck. Lion Sash. Okay, that's reasonable. Get wrecked, nerd! Feels bad. Yep, I will go ahead and immediately draw 7. Hello. Alright, Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal. I'll just put these on board. Very little reason not to. Play a Forest. I can just hold this Unmask. Opponent has 0 cards. I can use this to try to snipe their Yorion. Okay, Aether Vial stays at 3. Yeah, absolutely. You can go to town on these permanents. Oh, my opponent's line here is probably, like, give Lion Sash Pro Black, swing in for 3, and try to offset some of the damage that I'm going to do to them. Yep. I will take my 3 damage here, go to 4, but I go and, like, basically get this life back immediately. I am basically always going to use this Unmask. Yeah, I'm basically always going to use this Unmask. Unmask you. I'm going to pitch Shallow Grave because there's a world where I hard cast a Griselbrand. Alright. Took a Batterskull. Imagine the world where my opponent has a Stoneforge Mystic in play. Just saying. Just saying. So I'm going to go ahead and crash in for 7 here. And then I will go ahead and just make my land drop. And I will just cast an Elvish Spirit Guide here. Notably, I do not want to actually draw 7 here. Because, like, Lion Sash can go to a 5/5. So if I draw 7 and then this gets pro-green, that actually kills me. I can draw 7 in response to that, though. That's fine. Okay. I wish I had something in the graveyard that I could Shallow Grave right now. Okay. This is fine. Oh, I think opponent slipped up by letting me block here. I'll absolutely take this block. Good stuff. Start with Dark Ritual, Entomb, Griselbrand, Shallow Grave. Then try to combo off from there. Seems reasonable. Like, opponent tried to get 1 more damage with Lion Sash instead of playing around another reanimation effect, which was probably a mistake. Actually, hold on. Is my opponent dead if I play Witherbloom Apprentice first? A lot of spells. Very possibly. Let's play Witherbloom Apprentice. I'm gonna go ahead and just like fetch a land out of my deck here. Dark Ritual. That drains. Entomb. That drains. Griselbrand. Shallow Grave. That drains. Alright, so this has haste now. I'll swing for 7 in the air. That puts opponent to 1, and then any spell I play kills my opponent. Let's play a Dark Ritual. Yeah. Okay. I think my opponent punted that game. So if they had their Stoneforge in play off the Aether Vial turn from Chain of Smog, they could have produced a Batter Skull, which absolutely would have changed the texture of this game. And then they also activated Lion Sash instead of holding that up. So I think my opponent punted this one twice. But we take those. Okay, this is obviously a mulligan. This hand doesn't do anything. This hand also doesn't do anything. As a 5-card hand, doesn't do anything. Yeah, okay. So, this is a 4-card hand. That does not do anything. Am I supposed to keep having gone down this low, though? Like, this is not a good 4-card hand. Yeah, a 3-card hand still gives me a chance for, like, land, Entomb, Reanimate. I'll go deeper. Nope. At this point, I probably just have to keep this hand. So Grief goes back, Dark Ritual goes back, a Chain of Smog goes back, a Reanimate goes back, and then I keep like half of 2 different combos. It's possible keeping like Dark Ritual and Reanimate is better than keeping both of these, because like, okay. In good news, this one will be over one way or another very quickly. Anyway, finishing the thought, it's possible that keeping Dark Ritual land Reanimate is better than keeping half of both combos. Ooh, okay. So Painter? Painter. Alright, everything's blue. Okay, I mean, I have Entomb Reanimate. The bad thing here is I probably die this turn, right? My opponent floats a mana, makes a land drop, this gets Grindstone, and then I die. For those of you who have watched my Painter videos, this is why I want to play as many copies of Painter and Grindstone in the main deck as possible. Just so, like, I have the greatest chance of, like, having that turn 3 Goldfish. This is potentially a turn 3 Goldfish with backup. Alright, we will concede here. Alright, I will probably play 3 copies of Force of Vigor. Those are going to go in the Veil of Summer slots, and then I will cut 1 other card. What is going to be my other cut? Probably, like, an Unmask or something? Probably an Unmask or a Grief. So, like, the big difference here is Grief targets opponents, Unmask can target you, so Unmask is better at getting your own Griselbrand into the yard for some lines. So I think I'll make that small adjustment and call it good. I imagine my opponent has sideboarded very minimally here. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? So this is probably Swamp, Dark Ritual, Unmask Pitch, Dark Ritual, target me, get Griselbrand, Shallow Grave, and go from there. Yeah, absolutely a keep. Okay, cool. Didn't randomly get leylined or anything. Alright. Swamp. Unmask. Target me. Pitch a Dark Ritual. Discard a Griselbrand. Dark Ritual. Shallow Grave. Griselbrand. Draw 7. Hell yeah. Probably Griselbrand draw 7 more here. No Witherbloom, idiot. Do I have a Chain of Smog in hand? I do not have a Chain of Smog in hand. I have a Shallow Grave, though. I think I'm just going to go to combat now. Or actually, I will use this mana to entomb a new Griselbrand. Oh shit, I had Reanimate. Okay, that was a mistake. I probably still win on turn 1 anyway. Okay, there's Chain of Smog. Okay, yeah, so I could have won on turn 1. Alright, so let's evoke this. Probably like pitching a Griselbrand here. Okay, cool. Alright, I'll guess take my opponent's Karn this time. Play out some Lotus Petals. Unmask, target you. I can pitch a Dark Ritual here. I don't want to die to, like, a random Lightning Bolt effect. So I'm not going to reanimate their Fury. I've made a land drop. So let's use... Actually, undo that. Or no, I can get the black mana from here. Pitch a Spirit Guide. Chain of Smog you. Oh, you were not supposed to copy that. So I discard 2 lands. I copy this spell. I target you again. Okay, yeah, they figured out that's what's up. And I think I'll just Shallow Grave my other Griselbrand back at end step. Let's just discard 2 fetch lands here. Okay, there's the concession. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make any changes with sideboarding here. I should have actually killed my opponent on turn 1. Like, my line effectively did the same thing, but it should have actually just been dead. I should have entombed a Witherbloom Apprentice and reanimated it. But I just missed that card in my hand. I was scanning kind of quickly. My hand almost does a lot of stuff. An Entomb away from being broken, or it's a Chain of Smog away from being broken. I think I do just take a mulligan, though. So this has 3 mana on turn 1. So this can kill on turn 2. So land, Lotus Petal, Witherbloom. Turn 2, any mana source, and I have a kill. I'm going to keep this. So the question is, do I keep the Entomb so that I have Reanimate as a draw, or Reanimate or Shallow Grave as a draw that just, like, lets me go ham? Or do I keep Unmask so that I can have something that disrupts my opponent? I think I'm going to keep the Entomb, because I'm not expecting too many cards that actually can interact with me at instant speed. Unmask can take a Fury. Draw a black card. I think I am gonna get rid of the Unmask, though. Okay, I mean, that's fine. Right? Like, I'm playing towards a line that, like, is not killing on that axis. Okay, just quick check-in. I just have 4 mana turn 2, right? So I can just play out my Lotus Petal this turn to play around something crazy like a Chalice happening, and then just play all my shit next turn. Without committing any resources to the board. And then if my opponent has something like, I don't know, Bone Crusher Giant or something. The one thing this doesn't play around is Ancient Tomb Karn. Awkward. Okay. I'll fetch a Forest. I can get 1 black mana easily. Alright. Man, I wish I had that Polluted Delta the previous turn. I can play out the Witherbloom Apprentice, but, like, then I don't have black for some of this other stuff that could be good. I think I'm just gonna chill. So I'll take my 2 damage here, go to 17, and now we're just gonna see who top decks better. Okay, so now I have, like, both combos if I am just going to cast this so this thing stops hitting me. So I have both combos in hand. I just need another black mana to execute them. In good news, my opponent has shut off their own Urza Saga, which is one of the better cards against me at this point, because, like, that's the fastest way they have to finish games. All right, everything is blue as expected. And we're going to stare at each other for a little while. I'm not just going to run this out here until I can kill with it. So in order to do my graveyard-based combos, I will need to answer these Leyline of the Voids. Ooh. Okay. This is why we didn't run Witherbloom Apprentice out, right? Okay, sure. I'm leaning very heavily on the card Lotus Petal right now. Unfortunate. So I'll take 3 more. Drawing Force of Vigor would be pretty dope. Not good. Guess I'm not hard casting this Griselbrand basically ever, right? Unmask, target you, pitch a Griselbrand. See if I get to take a card. Take an Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. So at any point, I am dead to my opponent top decking a land. That's not a good position to be in. So I'm going to go down to 8 here. Welder. That's not too bad. But that shortens the damage-based clock by a turn. I don't think I'm on any outs here. Magus of the Moon absolutely stole that game for my opponent. So, like, we beat 2 pieces of hate, right? Like, I beat double Leyline of the Void, like, because I have this other angle in my deck that allows me to, like, dodge Graveyard Hate. The Magus of the Moon was very, very necessary as a follow-up. Okay, that's going to be it, unfortunately. GG's. Okay, I'm not gonna keep this hand here. Like, this hand can grief a couple of times, but I don't, think that's really where I want to be. This is a tough one. So, 4 Reanimates, 4 Shallow Graves, 4, Witherbloom Apprentices as draws that make this hand very good. I am on the draw. I think I'm just gonna keep this one, despite the fact that, like, this one doesn't go now. Like, it might be a mistake to just, like, mulligan this hand when I have so much, like, raw power available. Alright, that's a dead draw. So we'll just play a land and pass. So, like, a big question here is going to be, like, does my opponent actually have a Bojuka Bog in their deck that they can tutor up at instant speed? If they don't, I feel fantastic about my situation. If they do, I don't feel great about it. Accordingly, I am not going to just, like, entomb here. How many basics do I have? Just 2, right? Yeah, just 2. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play basic forest this turn. I don't really want to entomb until I have to. Like, I don't want to show my opponent, like, oh, is this actually just elves? If this is just elves, they're less likely to have the Bojuka Bog, and I maybe can just entomb. So part of the reason I don't want to entomb is that I might end up getting a Witherbloom Apprentice. So I want to maximize my chances of drawing Witherbloom in yeah, okay. So they are elves. I don't think they are going to have the Bojuka Bog in game 1. They might for post-sideboard games. I guess this is probably a time where I should, like, actually just go and, like, look and see what people have been running. Alright, there's a Bayou. That card is scary. Okay, they're holding up Elvish Reclaimer. I guess I'll go to my turn. A Grief, sure. I have to find a Reclaimer build. Okay, this one doesn't have it. This one has ley lines. How about this one? This one doesn't have it either. Okay. I don't really have anything to do here. Like, I can grief my opponent, but, like, I'm more worried about what's on board, right? So with any land drop, my opponent just, like, activates this and hits me for, like, 15 damage. Okay, so we'll try to figure out, like, why my opponent was holding up this card rather than just taking their damage. They were potentially just playing around, like, no, they wouldn't have played around, like, Icefang Coatl. That was a regular basic forest, not snow-covered. So accordingly, this should probably be a snow-covered land. The Dryad Arbor, though, makes sense. It makes Gaia's Cradle tap for 1 more. Oh, that's a natural order. Okay. So that should just kill me immediately with a Crater Hoof. Am I wrong? Or are you just, like, scared? Okay, you're scared and you're gonna get an Archon. That's fair. Okay, you've named it. Oh my god. What a fucking hand. So the second Gaia's Cradle means that honestly, I'm just happy for you at this point. Absolutely. Absolutely. Alright, dead. So we have very minimal things for this matchup. I'll probably board out Veil of Summer and board in a couple of, like, Force of Vigor or Reverent Silence. If I were in my opponent's shoes, I would be guessing that I am a combo deck of some kind that just, like, didn't quite get things together. The sideboards for the Elves decks are varied enough that, like, I don't know how deep I want to go in boarding some of this stuff. I think I'm going to board 2 Reverent Silence specifically for Leyline of the Void and then call it good. Yeah, this is gonna be fine. As long as my opponent does not have, like, a Leyline of the Void here. This just is, like, Lotus Petal, Misty, Entomb, Reanimate. Opponent has taken 1 mulligan. Okay, cool. Alright, land, fetch, Bayou, Petal, Entomb. I will just take the Grizzle Dad, rather than trying to get cute here. Reanimate Griselbrand. I will pay 7 life here. It's almost certainly going to be worth it. Yeah, I'm going to unmask my opponent multiple times here. Alright, unmask, target you. I'll pitch a Griselbrand. Yeah, opponent has a very fair hand. I'll take your Scavenging Ooze. Unmask, target you. Pitching a Reanimate this time. I'm fine with you seeing this other side of the combo. I'll just take your Birchlaw Rangers. And call it a turn. Alright. So I know I'm going to have to deal with Thought Seizes. And, like, that makes sense. I guess I could have kept the Reanimate so that I could reanimate a Witherbloom Apprentice if this exact scenario happened. But, like, at my life total of 4 life, I figured it was pretty reasonable to not want that. Honestly, I'll also probably just, like, Chain of Smog my opponent once or twice next turn. Alright, a Witherbloom Apprentice. I'll hit for 7. I will immediately draw my 7, and I'll see if I can just kill my opponent. Like, there's a very good chance that I can. Alright, play a Bayou. I'm 1 mana short of killing. I'll put a Witherbloom Apprentice into play and call it a turn. What's my last card I'm going to discard? It doesn't matter very much. I'll get rid of the second Chain of Smog, I guess. Like, I have 9 onboard damage plus, yeah, trigger. Like, combo aside, I'm in pretty good shape. So now the next question is, do I want to go deeper and play Force of Vigor specifically for Leyline? Depends. Depends on whether or not my opponent has Leylines and whether or not they mulligan to them. If they mulligan to them, like, I'll have 2 Reverent Silences as an out, plus my traditional Witherbloom Apprentice-based combo. Not sure if I'm supposed to go deeper in terms of answering this, because every card that I board out makes me worse at doing Plan A, and my opponent frequently is just going to keep hands that can combo quickly. So I think I'm just going to resubmit as is. Okay. If I keep this hand, I can draw a card, discard Griselbrand to hand size, and Shallow Grave it on turn 2. I also will have Entomb as a pretty interesting draw, and Witherbloom Command as a pretty interesting draw. Opponent's kept their 7. If my opponent Thought Seizes me, this hand is Garbo, though. Well, not entirely true. Alright. I'll keep this. This hand has enough potential and is safe enough against a Thoughtseize that I think this is just fine. Yeah. I would not have kept this hand on the play. I absolutely would have mulliganed this on the play. We'll see what they target here. I imagine it's one of these 2, unless they also have, like, a Surgical Extraction, in which case, like, you take Griselbrand and probably rip those from the deck at some point. Okay, that's kind of the card I was expecting to lose there. Alright, I don't really need basics in this matchup, I don't think. So Entombs are good, and Unmasks are good right now. While Therapy's a little rough. Alright, I've lost Shallow Grave. Alright, so now I kind of have a do-nothing hand. See what my opponent's follow-up is. Okay, nothing. So that could mean they kept a weak hand that was discard heavy, or that could mean that they have a glimpse hand, and since I'm not producing any pressure, they might just be trying to like wait as long as possible for their Glimpse turn to become better. Okay, it's a Visionary. And my opponent could choose to like sack this to Therapy to take out my like Elvish Spirit Guide if that's like something they value doing, and they do. Oh, okay, they're taking the Griselbrands out of my hand. That might mean okay, they do have the Bojuka Bug. That's pretty good. Note, this is an incredibly risky line from my opponent. If I have another Shallow Grave right here, I just get to, like, Shallow Grave a Griselbrand into play. So, like, that's a line that could have gone very wrong. I understand them wanting to take it, but there was very, very real risk in that line. I have plenty of mana, or if I draw something broken. I think I'm just going to put a Spirit Guide into play and like use this to either soak up some damage or do some chip damage of my own. I don't think I'm winning this one. Like, my opponent's deck is just going to be more consistent at doing its thing than I am. I didn't get my last Bayou out of the deck. And since I can't really block this Scavenging Ooze profitably, I'll just do my 2 damage here. Alright. Situation is bad because I have to draw both sides of a combo here. And at any point, my opponent can just play like a Natural Order, get an Archon, and then it becomes incredibly difficult for me to win. This is not super potent right now. I don't think my opponent, I don't think my opponent should eat this Elvish Visionary here for 1 more point of damage. I'm going to go ahead and attack with an Elvish Spirit Guide. Something kind of cute might happen, depending on how cheeky my opponent is feeling. Do it. Yes, yes. This was all part of the plan. Okay, so now my opponent is going to fetch and grow this. Yeah. So goodbye, Elvish Visionary. Grow this. And then I will cast this Grief and get rid of that Allosaurus Shepherd. So I succeeded in taking a creature out of play. Nice. Do you have black? That's awkward. Actually, I don't think it's awkward. I'm still going to take the Allosaurus Shepherd. Right? Like, I am not going to beat... Like, I am not going to be able to use the reanimation side of the deck anyway because of the existence of Scavenging Ooze. So if I'm already trying to win via Witherbloom combo, it doesn't matter so much that my opponent has a Leyline of the Void. Like, I don't even think playing Leyline of the Void is better than holding up Scavenging Ooze mana. Like, they can eat 2 and then still hold up 1 more. Oh, they're not even going to do that. A Green Sun for 3. Grist is damn good. Okay, so I'm going to send both of these at this Grist. Okay, my opponent goes for the double block. That's fine. So we'll trade. Then I will go ahead and reanimate that Grief. There's basically never going to be a time where I reanimate that. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to take the... Oh, fuck. I fucked up. I'm supposed to take the Leyline there so I don't actually put another creature in graveyard. Okay. That's fine. But I wonder if opponent was supposed to just minus on Grist and hit me to 1 rather than like leave this thing around. I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter because like the game is going to end before this creature is relevant one way or another. Alright, Entomb is not going to do it here. I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Towel. GG. Hey folks, Phil here. I hope you've been enjoying the content. If you have, please consider doing something to support me. Liking and commenting on the video is an easy way to do that, or you can become a YouTube member, do a donation deck list, whatever you want. Do something to support me. Otherwise, I'm going to end up making thirst traps on TikTok, and nobody wants that. Or do you? Okay, this is going to be a Force of Will check hand, essentially. If my opponent has access to Force of Will, they're in good shape. And if they don't, well, you know, it's probably going to be pretty ugly. Swamp, Petal, Entomb. I will go ahead and just put the Griselbrand in the graveyard, and I will cast Reanimate. I am fine doing this now and not holding up the Veil of Summer, because like there's like right now it's basically Force of Will that we lose to right now. That's unfortunate. All right, such is life. Okay, we are probably playing against a slow deck. Like, that's good. That means that I have time to kind of get out of this rough situation I found myself in. I'm not gonna like fetch to thin here, or anything like that, because like there's times where I might need black. Sure. All right, we'll probably find out pretty quickly what sort of nonsense my opponent is doing. I'm guessing we are playing against an Uro pile that is using Field of the Dead for its endgame inevitability. Valakut even, sure. So that means that they are going to have the thing that turns everything into all land types that I am just totally blanking on the name of right now. I don't think I want to cycle Veil of Summer. Okay, so now I am a black card away from doing my thing, because I can unmask target myself, put Griselbrand in graveyard, Shallow Grave, and then kind of go ham. Yeah, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. There we go. Okay. Cool. That's a lot of pressure. Also makes me glad that I did not just randomly fetch a Bayou. Alright, let's just confirm. Unmask. Pitching Dark Ritual. Griselbrand goes into my graveyard. I Shallow Grave, and I have Elvish Spirit Guide available for this afterwards. Okay, cool. Alright, there's Forest. Unmask, target me. Pitch Dark Ritual. Junking a Griselbrand. Playing a Shallow Grave. Drawing 7 with the Griselbrand. Swords to Plowshares. Rough. Notably here, I cannot draw another 7 in response, or I die to this fetch land. So that occurs. So much for my Veil of Summer. So, get cheeky? I think I'll get cheeky. Alright, unmask. Target you. I'll pitch one of my Entombs, I think. Another Source of Plowshares. Yikes. Okay, cool. Very glad I did that. Then I will go land, fetch. I wish I had another basic for reasons that I'll talk about in a second. Fetch Bayou, reanimate, target Endurance, and Endurance away my opponent's Uro. Okay, cool. So essentially, I wish I had another black, because like Entomb Shallow Grave is like a thing that I very much would like to do in the same turn. But I think it's more important to not give my opponent access to that Uro. I am at 11 life, which is like an okay number, but like with a Valakut in play, like I do not want to give my opponent access to that Uro. Yeah. Feels bad. Alright, so my opponent will repeat that process and just kind of hit me again. So I'm at 5 when all that is said and done. Yep. Yeah. Oh, it's so awkward to play out this Witherbloom Apprentice here. I think I will do so. So this blocks a 2, this blocks a 1, that's 4, plus a land drop would be 7 damage. Blocks a 4, this blocks a 2. Okay, so I'm not gonna go deeper here with the unmask. I kind of hope to dodge a relevant card for this turn and then draw Chain of Smog. This Veil of Summer is just like not doing what I want it to do here. No. Alright, so my opponent gets a redraw for a land. Alright, what did you draw? A new Uro. Alright, so they'll repeat that process. Oh, they whiffed. Nice. Oh, JK. They just chose to play it rather than put it in. Okay, so that fetch land means that like this just goes to my dome and I am dead. I can like do this thing, but that doesn't actually get me anywhere. Because it's a drain for just 1. So this is a time where like, or no, I would have died in combat anyway. Okay. Alright, Orbital Flowers is cute here. Alright, these Veil of Summers basically need to go. And I'll play all these Carpet of Flowers. I'll probably get rid of a Spirit Guide for one of these. I could also go down a Grief reasonably, I think. Like, checking to see if Endurance is there is, like, a real thing that Grief does. But, like, the Spirit Guides just let me go fast. I guess the Carpets are also theoretically supposed to do that. Like, but they have the upside of potentially allowing me to hardcast things like the Griselbrand and Grief that otherwise might get stuck in my hand. Alright, well, let's go down one Spirit Guide. Okay, this hand doesn't really do anything. This hand is 1 mana away from doing everything. But I probably can't keep it. Yeah, I probably can't keep this one. Like, it's roughly a 20 outer. But in the times where I don't draw that land, this does stone cold nothing. I'd rather take advantage of being on the play. Yikes, okay. I can double Dark Ritual into Grief on turn 1. That doesn't feel like a winning hand. On 4, I'll kind of keep and pray. Yeah. Not super hopeful here. Okay. So, like, luckily, I have a Witherbloom Apprentice in hand, so, like, I have... Sure. This is more hateful than what I was expecting out of this deck. God damn it. Alright. So, let's get some basics so I don't get wastelanded. And let's see if I can just, like, drain my opponent for as much as I can with this. Like, my opponent can have... Jesus, alright. Anyway, my opponent can have a good number of things that, like, really mess with what I'm doing. Like, now I know this. It's going to be hard for me to beat them. I will probably pretty aggressively just, like, use black spells for 1 damage here. Because, like, I need to race this Uro coming down, and I need to just, like, thin my deck of as much shit as I can. So I am just going to take out a card that I never would want to draw here, which is probably Shallow Grave. Wasteland is a thing that I need to think about, but I think it's more important to do this marginal thinning here. Okay. This non-creature or instant or sorcery? Instant or sorcery. I don't need this yet. I think I am going to do this. And yes, before you ask, I know. I know. Alright. I will not put a land onto the battlefield. So this returns to their graveyard. I'm going to hit for 2. I think I'm going to keep this Spirit Guide with the intention of just hard casting it next turn. Kappa. Yep. I've already made my decision in that regard. Nice. Carpet is so much mana now. Yeah. So this is going to be pretty cute. So we'll go to second main phase. Yes, we're going to make green mana. And we will cast an Elvish Spirit Guide. So in case you're not overly familiar with the exact text here, Deafening Silence says each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. So that's why I can do both Carpet and Elvish Spirit Guide, but why I can't do double Carpet. Alright. Other Island. Fantastic. Note, opponent is just dead to me top decking Chain of Smog at any point. Like, despite the hate pieces that they have. What did that just do? Oh, it just blew up my Carpet of Flowers. So I can search for a land card with a basic land type. This is Boseiju Who Endures from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Alright. There's a Bayou. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? My opponent's dead. Chain of Smog, target me. Paying the 1 additional damage, or 1 additional mana. Discard Carpet, copy, yes. Same targets. And we repeat this process till my opponent is dead. Nice, okay. That's a lot of hate. A lot of hate. So the Witherbloom Apprentice side of the deck is going to be my good side of the deck. There's some awkwardness here in that, like, Reverent Silence theoretically destroying the ley lines be really good, but I'm also going to be, like, playing Carpet of Flowers, which, like, I really don't want to destroy. So, you know. Do I want to just, like, not play Carpet of Flowers on the draw so that I can board more of the answers to my opponent's shit and, like, keep the reanimation side of my deck valid? I think so. That means I'm going to want 5 cards here. And it also means that, like, boarding in Elvish Spirit Guide as another green card becomes more reasonable. This is probably where I sideboard out some number of griefs. If I sort this by mana value, I will have 5 answers to my opponent's lock pieces. I will be a little more disruption light from hand, so I'll get a little worse at answering endurance, but I'll get better at answering a lot of the other stuff that slows me down. I think this is a reasonable compromise. Absolutely keep. So this is Entomb on turn 1, followed by Reanimate on 2, with an Unmask to back it up. And I have Reverent Silence to answer a Leyline of the Void, should that be necessary to do. Okay. Unmask my opponent right now, or next turn. If I do it now, I will less frequently run into issues with something like a Deafening Silence. So, like, the follow-up question is, do I unmask pitching Chain of Smog? I think so. Unmask you, pitch Chain of Smog. All right, junk Prismatic Ending. I'll play this way. Let's junk that and call it good. This plays around a top deck Prismatic Ending, or not Prismatic Ending. Yeah, words are hard. Entomb. Get Griselbrand. Guess I'll make my land drop now. Land. Reanimate Griselbrand. Opponent can't cast an Endurance here, and they don't have the green card to pitch to it, and that is the match. Are we 2-2 now? Yeah, we're 2-2 now. Okay, so I'm on the draw here. I can't get anything out of the graveyard, so I think I'm just going to mulligan this hand. This is missing too much. I'm going to go to 5 and just try to assemble something. Yikes. Okay. 4. Okay, on 4. Do I keep something with an Entomb? Entomb's real good. This is essentially going to be my keep, is like Dark Ritual Entomb. I have 8 draws that let me turn 1 still. I think that's acceptable. This isn't great, but I think it's acceptable. Alright, what are we playing against? Oh no. Not a deck with real interaction. Okay. So we'll kind of chill here. After a mulligan to 4, I kind of just expect to lose game 1 and then kind of hope that a Carpet of Flowers can carry me through one of the other games. This is the sort of deck that I don't want to get paired against, because, like, my opponent's deck is highly interactive and the interaction is flexible. They also have fast clocks. Like, all those things combined are just, like, things that make the Glass Cannon deck sad. Yeah, okay. So I probably sandbag my land here so that I don't get wastelanded. I don't think I'm ready to cast this Grief yet. Like, casting the Grief now probably only accomplishes, like, growing this thing faster. I might do it next turn, because, like, next turn we start getting into, like, times where, like, a Murktide Regent realistically could come down, and that card is bullshit, in case you haven't realized. Alright, so you've got another land drop. This thing is now officially a 3-3 already. So I will go ahead and eat this damage. I don't think I want to attempt an end step Entomb here. Although if my opponent plays another 3-3, I probably will. Oh, did the Murktide Regent just come down this turn anyway? No, this is... Yeah. Hooting Mandrills. Okay. I am now under enough pressure that I will throw an Entomb away here. Into a Daze. And just be fine with that. Okay, as expected. That's another Hooting Mandrills. Yeah, this Wasteland existing so that I can't just, like, easily play around Daze via this Bayou is a little rough. So this is an excellent example of how Grief is different from Unmask. I don't really have good plays here. I'm just gonna chill, unfortunately. Like, given this board state, I think I've already lost. Yeah, so my opponent liked whatever they saw off of the Dragon Rage Channeler trigger, which is not good news for me. I like opponent's build, like very, very low to the ground. Hooting Mandrels over Murktide like makes sense in this exact build. Like they're playing baubles and they're trying to fuel the graveyard as quickly as possible. Like this very much feels like a modern deck. And I mean that as a compliment, Jesus. Okay. I have to just go off this turn. And I do not have the ability to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and concede. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to play 3 Carpet of Flowers. I can consider Xantid Swarm, but, like, I don't feel super great about that. Like, my opponent is going to keep Lightning Bolts in the deck, like, at least some amount of them, because, like, they just go to the face and finish me. So I think, like, Born Again Xantid Swarm, when I still expect Lightning Bolts to be there, is not super profitable. So these are coming in. How do I replace this? Unless I have a Carpet already, it feels hard to hold up the mana for Veil of Summer. It feels like Grief is only good if I've already produced a Griselbrand, in which case, like, I've already won some portion of the time. I go down on Grief, I think. Yeah, this is fine. Here's to hoping that Carpet just resolves. I think I will just jam that on turn 1. There's some worlds where it's a touch awkward that I fetch the forest here, where I just, like, need black pretty early on. But the Dark Ritual helps out with a lot of those spaces, so, like, that's fine. Okay. Nice. So... am I going? This is 4 mana. 5, technically. Yeah. I guess I need to do this first. Oh. Nice. I'll exile that. No, sorry, I will exile that. Cast Chain of Smog. Targeting me. Okay, nice. Alright, so we have each had a game where we just completely ran away with the fucking game. So, do I want to play something like a Force of Vigor to deal with that Grafdigger's Cage that I just saw? I don't think so. I think that's a case of over sideboarding. And, like, if my opponent has it, like, so be it. Like, it will be good. But I think plunking up my deck with a bunch of copies of Force of Vigor to answer something that is probably a one-of is probably not where I want to be. And as we can see, if my opponent plays that, like, the whole way this deck is designed, I'm supposed to just, like, do the thing. I can hard discard a Griselbrand to this hand, and then try to Shallow Grave it on turn 2, maybe after playing Unmask. I think I'm on board with that. It's very awkward for me if my opponent just, like, leads on a turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage, though. Okay, that's fine. Witherbloom Apprentice is fine. Discard a Griselbrand. So, what do you have, opponent? That's a lot of pressure. I'll take my 1 damage. Holy moly. Wow, this hand is good now. I think my decision trees are complex here. I don't have any card I want to pitch to Unmask. And I think this is a time where I can wait and try to go off 2 times within a turn cycle. If I wait until I have, like, 4 or 5 mana, if I can wait that long, big if. If I wait, I can go, like, Shallow Grave at my opponent's end step to produce a Griselbrand, followed by, like, Witherbloom Apprentice into Chain of Smog on my turn proper. I could also go for a mid-combat Griselbrand on their turn. Okay, I don't really like seeing that. I'll take the 2 damage here. And again, just kind of, like, try to wait a turn. A Shallow Grave. I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch both of my lands preemptively. Like, I know I want these, and I just, like, am doing a quick stifle check here. I am going to unmask, target you, pitching a Shallow Grave. Veil of Summer. Okay, so I think I'm going to let my opponent do their scrying. Or their surveilling. Oh, there's junked a Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and try to Shallow Grave Griselbrand. So I'm actually playing around Daze because of this Elvish Spirit Guide. My opponent might have, like, a Surgical. Alright, so I'll junk Spirit Guide to pay for days. Alright, I have produced a Griselbrand. Alright, let's draw 7. Feel pretty comfortable in... Ooh. Feel pretty comfortable doing that. So I'll play a Lotus Petal. This is real. Okay, so my opponent has Veil of Summer up right now. Oh, that doesn't matter. This doesn't target, does it? No, it doesn't. Okay. So let's exile this for green. Play a Carpet of Flowers. I have 2 mana as of right now. I think I'm just going to be good here. I'll hit my opponent to 12. Like, I can draw 7 more, but I think I'd rather just have the life. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it a turn here and then try to win via Witherbloom Apprentice next turn rather than, like, draw another 7. Like, there's some portion of the time where, like, drawing those cards allows me to win the game on the spot. But I think I just play around more stuff by waiting a turn. All right, nice. That's more mana for me. Delver's fine. A Carpet of Flowers. All right, so let's say no to this. Let's play a new Carpet of Flowers. And then in my post-combat main phase, I'll say yes to this. Make green with 1. Say yes to this. I'll make black with the other. I'll make a land drop. 4, 5, 6, 7 total mana. Could hard cast this. I think I'm just going to pitch cast it and try to win more frequently this turn. All right, so let's pitch cast that. All right, a lightning bolt targeting me in response. That's great. Like, that's a card that would have potentially disrupted my combo. Sure, I'll float another mana here. Okay, I'll take your Delver of Secrets. I'll play a Witherbloom Apprentice, Chain of Smog, target myself, and that is the win. I discard both of these. Yes, copy the spell, and repeat the process. And there is the concession, and we end up with a 3-2 league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This is a fun glass cannon deck list that's pretty powerful. I really like the changes that Bryant suggested. I don't really like the Veil of Summer. I don't think we ever successfully used that card in the entire league. I would rather just have, like, maybe a 15th land and something else that contributes to the combo in some way. Once Upon a Time probably isn't good. Like, you could play a 1 of Emrakul for Shallowgrave Emrakul shenanigans if you wanted. That might be more cute than good. You could also just, like, play a random discard spell or something like that, or like 1 random Abrupt Decay to, like, help answer some stuff. I don't think I'm super in love with the Veil of Summers. Really feel good about the carpets out of the sideboard. Like, that card did some serious work in helping us play around Daze effects and could have allowed us to, like, do some things like hardcast Griselbrand. Having played a league with this, I do feel like the show and tells weren't necessary. Like, we won through active ley lines multiple times because we had these Witherbloom Apprentices. I think kind of like ultimately the question at the end of the day is, like, is this the best, like, Witherbloom Apprentice shell, or, like, should there just be cantrips in here? And that I don't know the answer to. Like, I really like having cantrips to find my combo pieces. But, like, if we have cantrips in here, they probably come at the cost of something like these. Like, I'm fine with losing with the Veil of Summers. And if you play cantrips, you probably need to be playing more land drops. So, like, the deck would have a very different texture if you do that. All right. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, click the like button on your way out. If you have any thoughts about how to adjust the deck list, throw those in the comments. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.